What's up? What's up? Another go around with this official thanks. Actually doing another Essex County all day segment. This your boy, this Ibn Webb, Quran the Sum here. It's just been interesting doing these as far as actually it's been fun just catching up with some people I do know, some people I knew just by ads, paper clippings, and all that stuff. Um, it's just been a blast, man. I think just kind of just been able to just kick it with folks and people, and just hear them, man. Just hear their story or what have you, man. As far as just sharing how some laugh, taking a trip down memory lane, what have you. I think it's cool to sometimes to reflect, just kind of like that whole journey is. So, um, looking forward to some more, hopefully, or what have you here, man. But let me just kind of just get into this. What I got coming up here, Brick City legend, did a lot on that basketball court, did a lot in life, that made a lot of people proud. You know, I'm sure he's proud of himself as far as what he has accomplished as well too. You know, humble beginnings or what have you. So I'm just looking forward to getting them on, talk what we talk, and we just gonna rock from there. So if we just hold tight. All right. All right, what's up, man?
Yeah, what's good, boy?
Ain't nothing, man. Ain't nothing, man. Thank you, first and foremost.
Stop. No, of course, whatever. What you mean? Thank you. Thank you. What's up with you, man? How the family doing?
Everybody holding up, man. How about yours down there?
No complaints. Everybody, for the most part, healthy and staying out the way, man.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I know you're wrapping up the season, man. I know it wasn't as went as expected, man, but you get those seasons sometimes, unfortunately.
Oh, you know how it go. You know how it go. I mean, obviously, this was a year like no other in the sense that, obviously coming out of a pandemic and still, I mean, starting the season and one is obviously still not out of it yet. And obviously trying to make sure the health and well-being of these young guys is where they
Absolutely.
need to be, and then still trying to compete and do stuff in the meanwhile.
Hmm.
Whole bunch of excuses you could throw out there, but you're just thankful for the opportunity and thankful that the guys got a chance to compete. Obviously, not finishing the way you wanted to finish, but still thankful that it's better than some people that didn't get a chance to play this year. So
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely, good stuff, man. I'm gonna touch on it a little later, man. Let me just tell you what I got going. I know when I reached out, man, um, it was something I was doing with family, man. You mentioned obviously everything going on here, which is like, you know what, I can't even connect with folks, so I don't go down to Jersey or wherever as much, you know. So just kind of let me get them on, throw them a couple of curveballs and get them online here and conversate with them. But outside of the conversation with them, just kind of just wanted to show my appreciation to them. So that was just kind of my way. This thing was just a little project or whatever. It done took a life of its own. Then I was like, man, I got another family too. I got a sports family, you know, kind of just growing up and
no
obviously
doubt.
being down around the way here or what have you. So I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna reach out to those in Essex County that just did any and everything, whether it was hoops, whether I didn't care what the sport was. So I started reaching out to this, you know, people that I knew. And Ira, when I say this thing it took a life of its own, it took a life of its own. As far as just reaching out, talking to people. But again, like I said, then I got other people, folks reaching out, like DMing me, like, "Yo, I'm a legend." I mean, basically,
That's a
what
blessing. That's a
it's
good thing.
no, it's
That's a
total,
good
total.
thing.
I'm totally happy about that, man. But it wasn't even about legends and all that. It was just my appreciation just for those who just did their thing. If they excelled at the highs of highs, or they weren't that person, it was just still all love, man.
Right.
So me just again just like reaching out. I mean, obviously you didn't hesitate to respond back even with the season going on. So it's appreciated. So what I normally do, I just sit here, just conversate, obviously throw some questions your way, man. Trust me, ain't gonna be nothing that's gonna get you fired on ESPN or go, nothing like that, man. But
I ain't worried
and
about it not one bit.
besides,
That
and
you
I'm
grew up
sure,
in Jersey like this, there ain't too much that's going somebody gonna say or do to you that's gonna fly. That's just
yeah,
gonna get you too razzled. So it's what it is.
no, absolutely, man. Like I said, I'm sure you've been media trained anyway, so you good with it. Oh, nah, just speaking of Jersey, man, just how was it for you growing up in North?
And how was it? I mean, it shapes who I am. I mean, I'm appreciative for all the obstacles and shortcomings and blessings that come with it. I mean, I think it gives you a whole different level of appreciation. It gives you a whole different level of work ethic. It gives you a whole different level of understanding, in a sense, like what people think is hard, it's just another day for you, in the sense that you, as you used to, coming up in a different type of environment. But I am who I am because of the environment I was raised in, and I'm humbled by it and appreciative of it every day.
I totally. Where in Newark did you grow up? I know I'm asking questions I know.
That's all right. I mean, I sprinkled off. I spent the most of my formative years in New Community, man. And obviously, I grew up. My mom and family stayed in the Weequahic section when I was little, and then as I got in the fourth grade, I think it was third grade, I moved into New Community, and that's what I claim. That's what my heart. Obviously, I grew my childhood friends, and everybody that had nothing to do with sports was in that circle. So I mean that. Newark's a big city. I always feel like I got pockets of friends, different, like you say, different groups, in the sense that as a sports family, as a neighborhood family, as a community family, as a summer league family, as a family you hang out with. Like, Newark is so big in the sense that, like, it was different in our time growing up than it is now. But I always gonna claim Newark and New Community as kind of my roots.
Absolutely, man. And then even being down there, when did you get started in sports?
Sports, organized sports or sports. I mean, obviously,
Sports in general. When you start playing, just in general, before we get to the organized stuff. When you?
I grew up loving football. First, playing on the block, playing outside, tackle on the concrete, shit like that. But I started playing basketball, I think, in the fourth, fifth grade. And then obviously in Newton Street School and that playground in our league there, I think that I would imagine that's probably the first time I really got introduced to it.
Okay. And then organized wise, what little leagues or when you were young did you play? You remember?
Well, it started right there in New Community at Newton Street School, our first league, Eladio Negron. I remember started a league for us guys that were just hanging out, and some of my, obviously some of my best friends that I have today are people that I met in that initial league, that summer league outside, and playing upstairs in the gym, or winter league in the gym, before going up to, St. Rocco's with a team, and playing obviously my first AAU basketball with the Newark Rams. And I'm glad we're on this platform. Let's give a shout out to Coach Bill Wimberly and Brian Crawford from the Rams. I mean, I always look now, being in coaching and being in basketball, I'm always cheering for guys from Jersey and rooting for them to do well. And that always takes me back to the roots of me initially when I started. And I think Coach Crawford, Brian Crawford, doesn't get enough credit that he deserves. I think just like my group of my era, like he put a lot of us in position to be successful and springboard into basketball careers. And I just think that as much as I hear and talk, I don't hear him mentioned enough, man. Right. I just want to make sure everybody recognizes Brian Crawford, because he's done a lot for the city of Newark and the youth in Newark, and obviously to give them the platform to be able to play AAU basketball.
No, totally. I remember again. I know I stopped playing with the Rams younger on. I didn't go to, I think I probably was like 15 or so when I realized I had to kind of divert whatever over to probably playing some football. But you mentioned B. Yeah, like I said, I just remember him just being around, because I know he had the older groups when we was in practice or whatever. So North Rams is like, it's crazy, man. Just kind of just how many people they done produce, and just good people. And then I think just that foundation just being laid out there, man. Like nothing. I mean, it goes without saying, like I said, if it wasn't for the North Rams, a lot of us probably wouldn't be where we're at today in regards to everything.
That's the truth, man. The Y, man, you go down to the Y, it was real. I mean, this was before AAU. Like, it was one AAU team. It wasn't like your dad could go create your own AAU team. You might go in there and everybody you read about in the Star Legend was in there on a Saturday morning. It might be 200 people in there getting cut down to 15 on one. That was real. I love the Y. I love that, competitive nature and spirit being developed in that environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from the backboards to everything down there, man. Yeah, no, absolutely. Real quick, so you had love for football. Did you ever play like little league?
Yeah, I played with the Cougars. Pop Warner, Citrus Ward Cougars won the championship. I always talk about my friends in my neighborhood, Reek, Kennard, Dez, Rab, and those dudes who I remember we was a new community, and obviously down on Court Street was where the Pop
Mhm.
Warner team was, going down there to play. And I remember we won a championship, I think 6-3. I scored a touchdown. I was a tight end at
Okay.
Weekway Park. I was 13 or 12 years old at the time. That's one of my fondest memories as a kid. You know?
So you scored the one and only touchdown, it sounded like.
On one and only touchdown, no field goals. You know how it is. You know.
Oh, no,
No
no,
extra
totally.
point.
How long did you, so you played football up until when?
Up until I went to high school, I played for those, well, just those 2 years, really.
Okay.
And then when I got to Seton Hall Prep, Coach Farrell wasn't that interested in me playing football. He wanted to make sure I made it to basketball season.
Yeah, yeah. And now we get to high school. Now, obviously, your choices. Did you was Seton Hall your first choice to go to, or you wanted to go
Well,
somewhere
man, no,
else?
I was going to Central. I mean, that was my regional school in
Right.
Newark, and um, uh, a good mentor of mine kind of got into uh, not my mom, talked to my mom about school and going to college and all these things. And I was fortunate enough, obviously, Lottie on the ground, who I talked about, who ran a rec center and in New Community, reached out to St. Rosa Lima Church, the parish, and
Mhm.
because I was a good student, I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to pay for school at the first year at Seton Hall Prep, and then they figured it out from there. So yeah, I was going to Central because that was where my friends went. That's where
Yeah.
our regional school from New Community was. That was something that just came about because some people got into my life and invested in me, and which is again, I'm thankful for, and try to reciprocate that by doing that for other people.
Nah, totally, totally. Nah, that's good stuff. So I'm just thinking, imagine you going to Central. That'd have been something. And that's when they had the city leagues too. So the city conference and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, nah, definitely. So you get to Seton Hall, you whole new world, like it's just different from New Community,
No doubt, no
to say
doubt.
the
It's a
least. To
whole
say
new
the
world.
least.
I
Yeah.
mean,
How's
man,
that?
they prepare me for what the world is. The world is bigger than your neighborhood. Expose you to a different culture, a different environment. You find out what's really out there, and obviously, it motivates you. Makes you motivated to want more for your family, for your life, and
Mhm.
in that sense, you put you in an environment where, obviously, you come from Newark and being able to always fending for yourself to like, all right, these people have resources, and how did they attain these resources, and what's a way that I can be able to do that? And then you go from competing on the court and outside to competing in the classroom, and those things only make you better. And that's what I look at Seton Hall as, obviously exposing me to something I didn't even know was out there.
Nah, totally, totally. And then and even on the court. So do you play varsity freshman year or you get held
I
back?
do not. I mean, I guess it was obviously in the 90s at Seton Hall, there was a rule where there was no freshman allowed to play varsity. So it was something you play freshman. My freshman year, my freshman team, I had to play freshman. I
Hmm.
played freshman. We went undefeated as a freshman team, and my sophomore year I was able to play varsity. So I look now and I look at a lot of the guys at Seton Hall Prep, and obviously Seton Hall Prep is a school that's had to, I don't know if that is kosher to say recruit now. I guess recruit kids to be able to come in. I wasn't recruited. I kind of went because of the academics, and obviously basketball turned into another thing. But now, though, they're having to recruit guys, and guys are able, they tell them they're going to play varsity, and being able to play varsity as a freshman. So I
Yeah,
always look at, man, what I did in 3 years. I wish I would have had that extra year.
extra year, absolutely. Then you get to the sophomore, are you starting?
I did. I started all 3 years. I played
Okay.
varsity at Seton Hall.
Okay. Now you probably don't remember this playing Immaculate. Obviously, you guys took it to us twice your sophomore year, and you gave them the business. You gave them seniors of Immaculate the business. This was, I think, a Christmas tournament up, and this was the counties. This is the counties that you wound up beating Immaculate here. So I know that
Yeah,
was
I
the
mean,
only.
Immaculate, I remember was good. I think it was Lee Mullins, if I'm not
Oh yeah,
mistaken.
yeah. West, yep. West was on there. Yeah, West, yeah, Lee
I
Mullins.
remember, yeah, I mean, Immaculate was good. I think at those times, Seton Hall Prep also, Coach I had a great coach in Bob Farrell
Right.
that taught you how to prepare. And like, you used to just hooping, like whoever it is, what it is, let's go out, who got me, who you got, and trying to own your individual matchup. But it forced me to grow and become more observant about the things that it takes to win. And obviously, it wasn't about me just scoring. I feel like you feel like, all right, I can score every time, but
Hmm.
I score, I can't. You can't win a game by just scoring. Having to defend and know how to take things away and being organized. Um, it taught you to learn like the value of every possession, value every game. And I'm thinking obviously Coach Frown is somebody that has was should be a Hall of Famer coach. I mean, he's obviously a Seton Hall of Fame, but he coached
Hmm.
McDonald's game. He's just an unbelievable coach and mentor, and he showed me a lot.
No, absolutely. I'm totally digressing. Mr. Farrell's story. He kicked me out of a baseball game.
That's right. He was umping after he
Yeah, yeah, he's an umpire. Yeah, he's an
had to retire. That's right.
yeah, yeah, he's an umpire. So I don't know. I got a
What you
hit.
do, man? Because Coach
Nah,
Brown was
no,
usually a
no, no. I guess it was
out. For
it
him
was
to
by the
throw you out,
rules.
you must have did something.
I guess it was by the rules. I'm around the third. I'm heading home, so I slid into the catcher face first and and
Oh,
laid him
okay.
out. So I guess that was a rule that I which I had no clue about. Next thing I know, he's like, "Yo, you're gonna take a seat the rest of the game." So
You brought the football field to the baseball
yeah,
diamond,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah, yeah. So every time I hear his name, like I said, I always get a good chuckle because actually my football coach wound up going to Seton Hall. John Finnegan, he'd been coaching Seton Hall. He wound up, I guess he left it a few years ago, but he coached Seton Hall for a period of time after we were long gone here. But yeah, that was it. So when I hear his name, I think, but damn, that's the only time I ever got kicked out of a game. Yeah. So but with the basketball, so sophomore year again, I know you're still filling it up, but still having some success there because you had the likes of you had some guards there like Mike Shannon was on that squad too, right?
yes, yes, he
Yeah, yeah.
was. Hey, he was. Mike Shannon was one of the obviously one of the first guards I played with there. But I also tell you who else was on that team. The head coach of the Denver Nuggets right now, Mike Malone. So Mike Malone and Mike Shannon were two of the toughest uh, white guards that I've ever played with. Like they would be in
Mm-hmm.
Elmwood Park in the summer. They come down to Newark, like they would play everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't get rattled. So
Yeah.
I mean, I had obviously two great friends now, but like that, I was fortunate to walk into that. I mean, obviously, you come in there, you're not in your normal environment in the sense that like, okay, this is a little different than what I'm used to. But having guys like that push you and have some edge made you feel more like you was at home.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Did we and you guys obviously continued that success, and you get into over to your junior year, it sort of kind of becomes your team. Then, is that accurate to
Yeah,
say? Or
I would say that. Like, I mean, for me, it's always. I don't struggle with saying it's my team, but I just like basketball is such a team sport that like I always
right?
take accountability and responsibility. Any team I'm on, whether
Mm-hmm.
I'm an underclassman or upperclassman. But yeah, that was a little different in the sense that my junior year, I think we went 28-3 or 27-3, and the
Okay.
three losses we had I fouled, well, 3 games, all 3 games I fouled out in. So it's like I remember that in the sense that like, losing in the championship, the Christmas tournament, losing in the state, like fouling out in those games and taking that with me into the off season to prepare for my senior year.
Now, when does Walt join you? Does he join
What
you?
was on that team as well. What was a junior on that team as well, and then next year obviously Brevin Knight is a sophomore on that team. So Walt is in my class. Walt was on the
Right.
team those two
Okay.
years. I think he was obviously as a senior played really, really well. And his junior year was just still in the process of figuring out the whole dynamic of Seton Hall
Yeah.
Prep.
To your point, even with that, like I said, that's an adjustment in itself. The school, the academics,
Oh, yes.
socially, everything else here. Even that's something we take for granted. Even the transportation, getting to and from
No
school.
doubt.
Yeah,
No
like
doubt.
whether it's
No
buses,
doubt.
rides, trying to get a ride
Oh
from
man, it's a
somebody,
lot
all
different
that.
now. Everybody got cars. It wasn't that sweet back then. I remember, the commit. It took a lot. I mean, for me, it was 3 buses as a freshman. The
Mm.
one downtown, the 21 up, and the 73 up to West Orange every day. So it was just like it was a little different. So I mean, again, all those things mold you, and it builds like
Totally.
obviously nothing, anything worth having takes some work, put some work into it.
Nah, totally, totally. And then you guys get now you're junior. Do you guys win the counties? If you remember?
No, we lost the county my junior year. As I said, all three.
Okay,
I think we lost to Shabazz, Eric Williams'
that's what
team
they had
that
Eric.
year.
Okay,
And again, a game I fouled out. Again, Christmas tournament in the second. So those are three games I fouled out. I remember my junior year, and in my senior year, we obviously win it all. Well,
yeah,
we'll win every tournament that we in and come down to the final game versus St. Anthony's in the championship of the tournament, tournament of champions.
yeah. So that even you see, y'all go on a heck of a run. I mean, that senior year because it was
Yeah.
you,
31-0 heading into that last one, man. He won
yeah,
31 straight. So
yeah, you. Then obviously you got a young Brev. You got Strick. Strick is there too, isn't
Waddell,
he?
yeah, Waddell,
Uh,
Walt, Big Rich,
Rich too. All right,
Mark
that's
and
right.
I, yeah,
Mark, that's
we
right.
had
Mark,
a
that's
we had a good team. We had guys committed to working, obviously, and that group, obviously, a group of guys I'm in contact still with today.
mm-hmm,
Um, some of my best friends, and I think that's what team sports do to you. Obviously,
totally.
build bonds to be able to continue to that transcends outside of the lines.
Totally. And I just had actually Mark's brother on just recently, Rich Canard. I just had
Oh,
him on.
nice.
Yeah, I just had him on too. So I mentioned Mark, talked about Mark for a quick second. No, good guy. Mark's a good guy.
Great guy, tough,
Totally.
gritty.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So going into that year, I mean, did y'all expect to just have this run, or was just kind of like it just came together, it was just and just became magical?
I mean, if you know how it is, every year, every summer, it's like when you end the season not the way you expected, the next year, like I ain't going into anything expecting to lose. So for me, it was like
Mm-hmm.
feeling those holding on to those feeling of defeat the prior year, knowing that it was going to be your last opportunity. You wanted to make sure those guys valued every game, every opportunity, and didn't leave anything out on the court. You know what I mean? Left everything out on the court.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Then I know just real quick, even in the summertime, I know you talked about AAU. What did you wind up going to another squad towards your junior senior in the summers, or
I
did
did. I
you?
played well. I obviously started all AAU basketball with the Newark Y, and then my junior year I played with the Central Jersey Demons with Rich Leary, and that was partly because of another Newark guy, Roger Rhodes,
Right.
kind of convinced me to come. Obviously, he was obviously play. Everybody knows him from St. Anthony's, but his father grew up on Peshon Avenue in Newark. So like that, me and Rob been friends from 12 years old, youth games. And
Mm-hmm.
so we played on the Central Jersey team together. And actually, I remember that team back when AAU wasn't what it is now. It was only, a couple teams. It was only like one or two AAU teams in each state. And we end
Mm-hmm.
up, losing to Jason Kidd's team in the finals of the Super 64 when there was only one tournament out in
Yeah.
Vegas, as opposed to, just picking, you had to be invited. And
Mm-hmm.
so again, a lot of great memories. I mean, that team, that AAU team that I played on with them, I think had 8 Division I players on it. So we were
Yeah.
fortunate. Danny Hurley, Deion Jackson,
Mm-hmm. I
uh,
remember them names. Yeah.
Chris Smith, Chris
Mm-hmm.
Williams from the UVA, Mark Bass went to St. Joe's. Obviously, we had a good team.
Yeah, that's Trenton boys,
Brian
him and
Caver that
Brian
went
Cave. Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
Seton Hall,
Trenton, yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely, man. I know just I didn't even know Roderick was from North. I didn't even know his father.
Yeah,
See,
French Street Projects.
yeah.
That's his family. So don't let anybody start talking that St. Anthony's mess to you.
Oh, that Jersey
Essex
City
County
stuff.
dudes.
Yeah. Okay. Didn't even know that. And then interesting, you probably don't remember this. Speaking of Vegas, we was out in Vegas. This is speaking of AAU. We went out, 14, 15 years old. You were just out there just hanging out, but we was out there because we wanted the tournament with Mr. Knight coached the team. Mr. Knight coached the team, and I think obviously somehow you found your way out to Vegas just to hang out or what have you there. So no, I remember that as well. As far as being out there, you guys were out there just kind of doing your thing or what have you as well too, man. Like I said, it's things just like intersect and intertwine here, man.
6 degrees of separation. If you know how that
Totally, totally,
goes.
totally, man. And then obviously, even back to that senior year, or even in the accolades, I know they just start pouring in, and I know you're a team guy, and it's just kind of that just comes with it.
Yeah.
Obviously, recognition got to come with it.
Yeah.
You're I'd even go with the county squads, man. I just remember, because you guys, a couple of y'all went back to back. Juniors, it was you, Keith, and like Tariq, kind of like junior and senior year, like solid guys, man. Then I know Walt but to your point, as far as Walt figuring it out, then I know he jumped on it his senior year. He wanted to make it first team. You
Correct.
know, now all that stuff was just like it was just great to just kind of to see all your the maturation and just kind of just things just coming
That's what the,
together
I mean,
for you
and that's the
guys, man.
beauty of it, man. That basketball, high school basketball, that's the beauty of it. Obviously, especially Essex County, where it means so much. It
Hmm.
meant something to walk into that county. You know what I'm saying? And
Oh,
the Essex
absolutely,
County College and compete against all the best teams in that region. Because for us, I know we all a little biased in the county. We don't really not respect or think that any other if we whoever we think we see play in Essex County will win it. That's what we feel the best team is in the state, regardless
that's right.
who Mike Kenny put in the Star Legend.
No, that's right, man. And then I know, so you guys, even with that St. Anthony's game, they just caught you guys on a bad day.
No,
Or
I think I mean Coach Hurley ain't in the Hall of Fame for nothing, man. He know
yeah,
what he's doing. Like, yeah, I mean, they play. I know a triangle and two. Me and Brev and me catches hard. I mean, they just by the time we figured it out, we ain't have enough time, and it was
got you.
obviously so. Obviously, you go on your senior year, you win 31-0. You feel like you want to finish it off,
Absolutely.
with finish the whole thing off. So, obviously, that's something that sits with you. But you win some and you lose some. And but the whole if you go into it prepared and you do everything possible to put yourself in a position to be successful, that's all you can do.
Absolutely, man. Then we get to college. What um what schools were you narrowing it down to when ultimately you went to Providence? Was it
Back at that time, obviously it was the Big East. The Big East was 8 teams. It was the grind of it. That's anybody that grew up in the Northeast wanted to play in the Big East. I mean, Rutgers was still in the A-10 at that time, and I'm unofficial to Rutgers and Seton Hall at home. Went to numerous practices and visited those campuses. But I think the final five schools was I kind of obviously wanted the academic component outside of the Big East schools was
mhm,
Providence, Virginia, Stanford, Vanderbilt. Like it was really some academic schools
right?
outside of those Big East schools, and end up obviously going to Providence. Partly because I don't know, partly because Eric Murdoch had some success, another Jersey guy right there on
Right.
the run before where
And
Rick came.
Eric Williams was there too. Was it Eric? Eric was
Eric Williams came up behind me. I actually was the one who made Eric come to
because he
Providence
went to
before I
junior
left.
college. Then
Yeah, he was in
oh,
junior college, then
got you,
Big
got you,
Ten.
got you.
Yep, yep. So Rick Barnes, who's obviously was a great coach and is a good coach now still. Like he's a coach in our league now. He's coaches a head coach at Tennessee, I see, and talk to regularly now. As a mentor and a friend and somebody that obviously played a big part in the molding of who I've become.
What how was it when you get up to Providence? Obviously, I mean, still is somewhat of a city. It's not north, but
No, it's different. It was different. Like Providence, they've done a lot of work to Providence now, and it's beautiful now. But like the crazy thing about it is, you grow up in Newark and you kind of get used to the noise,
mhm,
whether it's fire hydrants, fire trucks, police cars, the sirens. It's just noise and people. I remember going up to Providence and it being so quiet that I couldn't really even sleep. It was weird, but Providence was um and New England is a little different just because the how people move. But I appreciate it for what Providence was, and I ended up obviously leaving when Rick Barnes took the left and took the job at Clemson. But it was a good time. It was a Bruiser League. Ended up starting as a freshman, playing, and obviously in that league you got Alonzo Mourning, Billy Owens. It was the real Big East. Not that this Big East today is different. It's just more spread out and all across. But it was 8 teams, and it was bring your hard hat every night in the
yeah,
Big East then.
yeah, no, absolutely. Did you mention leaving? So your reason for leaving was because Coach Barnes left, or you just
Yeah, and partly
you
because I just wanted, like, for me, it was like an opportunity to play in a different style. And again, another academic component. At that time, I was fortunate enough to go to Penn, and Penn was, a top 20 team in the sense that we was playing
mhm,
in the Big Five and played, outside of the Big Five, played high major teams and opportunity to get an Ivy League degree. So it was, enticing in the sense that it was closer to home.
Right.
in a city in Philly that was more closer to what I was used to in the sense of Newark and a quality degree. So it was a bunch of things in their favors. And but it didn't help that I visited Penn on Penn relays and like, oh, I thought this was what school was supposed to be about after being up at
Yeah.
Providence for a little while.
Now it's interesting. Now you go because people normally don't do that, man. You did the unthinkable as far as transferring, from a Big East to an Ivy League school, or even Ivy Leagues even accepting transfers.
Right.
That was a big deal.
No doubt, I was fortunate. And again, I'm thankful for the Seton Hall Prep curriculum and being able to like having a strong foundation academically and had tested well enough academically, SAT wise, to be able to be accepted in and done well in Providence the time that I was there. And that's why I always urge like the kids now that I'm recruiting and coaching is to take those summers serious, like get ahead, like basketball, use basketball, don't let it use you. So if you're there, you can take multiple classes in the summer, take them, get the credits, do as best you can with the help and tutoring that they offer. Because again, a lot of people that look like you and me that don't play sports don't get those opportunities and don't get those resources extended to them. So I want to always make sure that the kids are taking full advantage of them.
No, absolutely. I mean, and obviously you was able to get those drills early on, and I think for your point, as far as spreading that knowledge to those, even if you don't get them at your school, at least you still had those conversations with them, so that even if they decide not to go, they still remember what you said. No, that's good. That's
Oh
good
no,
stuff.
I mean I think that's what we here for, Ev. I think for us, in life is what you make it, but you are somewhere because of the sacrifices that someone before you has made.
Right.
Like you sit in the shade because of a tree that was planted by somebody else, and if you approach life with that perspective and always willing to kind of pass on and try to make it better for somebody else because somebody made it better for you, then I think your life is more fulfilled. um, Anytime I get an opportunity to speak and talk, I always like so many thoughts run through my head because it's hard to sit and talk about all the accolades and everything you've accomplished in life without thinking like, man, I wouldn't have done any of this without such and such or without so and so or without being able to acknowledge those people for what they did to put me in position to be successful. Like a lot of people just see the end result and they don't see all the sacrifice and things that are put into it. Like uh, I've been fortunate to be able to play and coach, and this game of basketball has taken me around the world. A little kid
Right.
from Newark, New Jersey, and I've been exposed to multitudes of countries, cultures, and people because of basketball. But I think back to people like Sean McCray,
Mm-hmm.
who I feel like is a beacon in Newark now, like still doing it. Who started his own team when he was probably 15, 16 years old, and was coaching his team in the summer league in New Community and Newton Street School, and has been coaching since then and helped change the lives of so many kids that kept them off the street. People like that, like we obviously we could celebrate and applaud John Calipari and Dean Smith and all these people for the amount of wins in the national championships. But
Mm-hmm.
what's more relevant? Who's saving more lives and put more people in position to be successful or have an alternative than going a route that's struggling and people like him? And I always want to make sure people like him get acknowledged because they're as important as anybody, Larry Brown or Fran Duffy, who are great
Absolutely.
coaches that I played for and know the game of basketball. But Sean McGray in my eyes is right there on the same pedestal with them.
No, absolutely, man. No, totally.
York song.
Yeah, 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 and definitely he needs more recognition. Totally, totally. Whether it's from you, me, or the rest of the people. Then to your point, like the ones that do get the I don't know the accolades, or so to speak. It's those other ones that just put in that work and just go unnoticed. They don't want the light, but it's up to us to make sure that they do get it because they all the amount of work that they put in with individuals such as yourself or what have you, man. That's totally important, man.
I mean,
Totally.
it's how we should live, man. I think that for me, it's a motive in how I live and how I want my life to be
Mm-hmm.
looked upon. For me, it's like I look at people and it's like I always judge people. Well, how do you treat people who can't do anything for you?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, that in itself is the character and the people that like everybody. When you can do something for somebody, everybody gonna show you their best foot or extend themselves. But how do you treat people that can't do anything for you? And that, like those are the people, like I say, I keep going back to Sean McGray, and there's other people in Newark. I always talked about Brian Crawford to start, but like these AAU and youth league teams, they aren't lucrative. They're not making money off of them. They help and steer and change the lives of young men who are in formative years, who can go the other way, who can make choices to go the other route. And fortunately or unfortunately, a lot of them aren't in great financial situations, the kids that are around them, because of our socioeconomical
Right.
stands and where we're at in Newark. So like I just feel like those guys are are guys that are the beacons of our community and need to be acknowledged, and hopefully have the states and the cities should be put more resources at their disposal, because they're the ones that are on the ground and actually can get stuff done.
Yeah, you would think people would smarten up, and even they still haven't to this day. But I think just having these voices such as yourself and anybody else just to get that word out there, man, because like it makes no sense why they're not, some of these places you go back home, you still see things same way when you left them, and I think as far as to your point, as far as turning some of that stuff around, man, like I said, we got the voices and platforms or whatever the case is, man. I think it's so important. Like I said, we use them. And not only just voice it, but the action got to be behind that. And the action got to be consistent, So, no, totally, man. Totally. Totally. I know, even with the pen thing, so you get there. Are you there with, what's the guys? Maloney and Allen. Are you there with
I
that?
am.
You
Yep,
there
that's
with
the
them?
group.
Okay.
It's funny. Like I think I come in at a time where those guys are obviously already established somewhat, and they obviously my Cedric Glasser, who was my roommate there, who's a special person and somebody who who goes in the mindset of those guys that I talked about earlier. But Sean Trice, Eric Moore, and Scott Kegler, they had 5 guys that in a class together that was really good. And I was fortunate enough to come and be a part of that group, and obviously, hopefully, take it to the next level, in the sense that we went undefeated in the Ivy League for 3 straight years. Obviously, won to the NCAA tournament. When we beat Michigan at Michigan, beat Ohio State, like beat Nebraska, like beat some real teams during that time, and just like think in the era of Penn history, Penn has great basketball history, going back to the '70s, where it went to the Final Four,
Right.
Lost to Magic Johnson's team in the Final Four, but up until that point, like that era in the '90s, I think we were probably the most dominant outside of that group in the '70s. We're being able to go undefeated in the league for 3 consecutive years, and I think come close to breaking UCLA's record from the '70s with John Wooden, in the sense of consecutive conference wins. So again, I've been fortunate in to be in some position to play with some great players, and obviously to play for a great coach at that time, and Fran Dunphy, who's one of the best who's ever done it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, how do you balancing academics there in ball?
I mean, it was good. I mean, in a sense, again, we talk about the resources at these scholarship schools. We obviously, like, I'm in a Power 5 school now, so you have unbelievable resources to be able to help the kids. But in the Ivy League, it's like, you think about a lot of those kids have gone there not for the sports, but they've gone there because they've been the best in the classroom for all their school years. For 12 years, they've been the creme of the creme de la creme in the classroom. So you go there, and now you, as competitive as it is on the basketball court, when you playing in the best basketball leagues in the country, is that competitive in the classroom. Man. Iron sharpens iron. You know what I'm saying? You grow through what you go through. And when you're in those classes, competing against people that are sons and daughters of Fortune 500 companies, and obviously have been in position, or families have decades of dealing with wealth and success and financial literacy. It's a little different, but I'm thankful and I'm hopeful that it's shaped me and helped me be in position to be better off myself and position my family to be better.
Absolutely. And this goes back to what you were just saying earlier in regards to like you use basketball. I mean, you use basketball. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's a prime example. Just even in the classroom, those people you're being around and folks that you probably still have ties with to this day. You know what I mean? As far as networking
No
and all
doubt.
everything.
And that's all Ivy League is a big networking pond to be able to have access to people. Like, man, you'd have told me I was a little kid in Newton Street School that I was going to, grow up and have a Ivy League degree from the Wharton School of Business, the #1 business school in the world, play in the
Mhm.
NBA and have an opportunity to be able to shape and transcend the lives of young men and women. Like I wouldn't have been able to ask for much more. And obviously the experiences and the relationships that have been cultivated and groomed throughout this time has made me very humble.
No, absolutely, man. Absolutely. You mentioned the pros. So you give it a shot here. That was, I mean, I know you don't get drafted, but however, I mean, you still had to stick to itness to like do what you needed to do. And you probably don't even remember this. One of your runs, one of the teams said Connecticut Pride. I bumped into you. I bumped into you when you was up here. As far as I actually went to one of your games, and I found out you was playing over there. You was playing at the legislative building, the LOB,
The Armory, at
the
the
Armory.
Armory,
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah. I was playing up over there. But to that point here, just that grind, and like I said, just kind of that stick to it, and to actually get
Yeah,
that call.
that's who I am, man. Like that's
Yeah,
who. If you from Newark, you from that's who we are. Like you done seen so much that like at the end of the day, like basketball, like what actually hard can happen in basketball? Like
right.
you've been through so much, and for me, like the grind, the proving people wrong, and just like going out and competing. That's part of what made me, and it's who I am now. Like I don't let people tell me what I can and can't do,
That's
and I
right.
never have, and never will. So that part, like the CBA part, like you earned it. Like that was the CBA is probably harder than any other league I've ever played in the sense that that was cutthroat in the sense that like you might get cut out to each practice, never mind the game. So
Yeah,
like you got dudes trying to feed their family. So it's a little different in that sense. Everybody aspiring to try to get to the NBA, everybody trying to, I always tell our kids now in college that this is the last real team you'll probably play on. Like if you're
hmm
fortunate enough to be a pro, like you dealing with a whole different entity.
yeah,
Like dudes, this check gonna feed their family is a little bit more different than like I had a bad day and I ain't passing you the ball for some reason because I don't like you. It's different. And that CBA kind of that life prepared me. And obviously like Kevin Ollie, Adrian Griffin,
hmm
guys that are on my team, Rick Brunson, whose son is Jalen Brunson on the Mavs now. Rick Brunson is coaching at Camden now. Guys that I played with that all on that Connecticut team that I had a chance to go on and play in the NBA because of the grind and because
hmm
of like obviously believing in yourself but putting in the work. Like
totally.
you appreciate stuff more when you work to get it as opposed to being handed to you. And I always have this conversation with a lot of kids. Like I wouldn't change anything in my life in the sense that like didn't come from much and had to struggle and grind to get everything that I have, as opposed to somebody that's had something from when they've been a baby, a silver spoon, and life has been easy. Like that's a choice that I would take any day. Like, obviously as a parent, you want better for your kids. It is
That's right.
hard, like to put it's still that hustle in them. But like for me, it's like I'm appreciative of it because I know what it takes, and I know, you know, the gut and the grind that you got to get through in order to achieve things, and the amount of work that you have to put in.
No, absolutely. That's no, absolutely. You get that call from your agent. Um, it's Philly, I believe, right? Is that the first NBA team?
Right. Yeah.
What was that feeling like?
I mean, feels like the come. It's like graduating. Like it was like it was like finally, in the sense that I remember getting called up and being in a hotel in Milwaukee. They were on the road. We were playing the Bucks, our first game, and I was like when you're from Newark, you just like you believe in yourself. You can play. It's just obviously getting that opportunity, and like again, I remember it like it was yesterday. But again, it's that moment that you feel like you put so much work in order to get there, and you're happy about it for sure.
How was AI?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Good
unbelievable,
teammate. Good teammate.
unbelievable person, teammate, like for what is put out there, what, for what it is to the media and who he is as a person. Like my locker was next to his in the practice facility, and like the stuff that he used to talk about, like he like obviously grew up in Newport News, and Newport News sound like a different version of Newark, in the sense that like, and he was one of those guys that made it out. Everybody, his story is well documented in the sense that what he went through with the bowling alley fight. But for him, like people didn't know so much that he did because they just hung on to whatever, snippets that the media might call it and catch and put out to people, make him think something other than what he is. But he was an unbelievable teammate, man. I think he donated like $500,000 a year to the prison system in the DMV and never put his name on it. Like for years, like like small stuff like that. And like I remember my first year, when we went to the playoffs, and because I hadn't been on the team the whole year, he made them give me like they usually give like prorated rates for your playoff bonus. He made them give me a whole like season, but like he was a real dude, and like again, not to practice, and we're like in basketball wise, he was one of the realest ever. Obviously, I played with Brevin Knight, who ended up being a 13-year pro, who was the best on-ball defensive player and pure point guard I ever played with in my life. But you talk about 6 foot soaking wet, 150 pounds soaking wet, and could get and do whatever he felt like it.
Yeah.
And I don't know nobody better than AI. That's that. Never mind 6 foot and under that ever played in the association, man. He was as real a person as he was a basketball player, and I'm thankful for our friendship.
Nah, totally, man, totally. And I remember too, you was in the playoffs when you got the call off. Was it the Pacers or I'm not sure if it was the Pacers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now I remember that as far as you playing, as far as getting that call and getting in, as far as just being on the team then, and then I know it kind of fluctuated with the league, then out the league, back in the league. But I think ultimately, like I said, you talked about it, the perseverance, but I also just think just the love of the game. You know what I mean? Because if you didn't love it, no way in hell you'd be doing all that.
No doubt. You can't do it. I mean, again, you do it for basketball. I never looked at it as a real job. And that's the whole thing. Like you do it because you love it. And the lessons, the life lessons and the relationships that you get from it, I think that's the biggest gift that you get out of being able to play basketball at the highest level.
Totally. Then, whether it was father time or was it time to do something else, what do you do when you're done? When you're done with the professional career?
Well, I tear my ACL, and which needs me to start to rehab. And then at that point, I actually run the Assist by Night Foundation,
Okay.
which is Brevin's
Brad's thing, right?
nonprofit. So we, and because it was an opportunity to give back and to reach the people in Newark and Essex County. It was a no-brainer for me. Obviously, we wanted to go back into where we were from and give kids who weren't as gifted at athletics an opportunity to continue on in athletics, in the sense that we wanted to expose them to the upper opportunities that there were in jobs and careers that were off the court, front office positions, working for teams, being physical, anything that like you didn't have to be a star to play. And I spent 4 years doing it, and it was very fulfilling work. I love the basketball camp that we used to give at Essex County every summer. I mean, so many kids, girls and boys, that went on to play, to be really good players. I remember starting and playing in that camp. And again, it was something that was so fulfilling because I felt like it helped.
No, and I remember obviously the foundation Brev having. Side note, I know I talked to Brev, so he said he'd love to get on and have a convo. So he's on deck. I know he's on deck. And actually, but when I talked to him, when I actually reached out to him, I was just like, Brev, I want to talk to Mr. Knight. I want to talk to Mr. Knight. So actually, yeah. So I need
Uncle Mel.
Yeah. I need I need the patriarch of all of this, you know what I mean? So, and I actually, and I spoke to him. I'm supposed to be actually speaking to him over the weekend or what have you. So I'm really excited about that.
Oh, you should be. Much love and respect to Uncle Mel, Mr. Knight.
Totally.
Again, talking about give them their roses while they're here is somebody who is He is, like you said, the patriarch, but he is responsible for a couple decades of basketball. I mean, when we talk about how great a player he was, again, from Newark initially, obviously moved, but like what he did at Seton Hall, and obviously since he's been from there, and obviously having Brev and Brandon, you're
Right.
talking about two sons with the level of success that they've had in this basketball world because of what they watched and saw on an everyday basis in their dad.
Nah, totally, man. So you wind up working at Assist by Night for a few years, and then what you wind up doing after that?
Then I got into coaching, man.
Okay.
Again, happened to be from in Newark. It was something I was home. I was able to start my coaching career at NJIT right there in Newark. Um, it had transitioned to out of Division II to Division I, so it was like learning the real ropes of it, and it was like playing a Division I schedule with Division II talent. It
Yeah,
was you got baptized. It tells you like you come from a competitive spirit where you're like, oh man, how they put their shoes on one at a time. We could beat anybody to
that's right.
understand the amount of work that you have to put in and the amount of team building that you have to do to get everybody on the same page. But I think, I'm happy to have been there at the foundation of that program to build it from the first 3 years to make it respectable. Like obviously, and then it wasn't even in a league at the time. And then I remember that first year we lost almost every game, but we never lost by more than 10 points. And it was like we had God bless the kids that were on that team. But I mean, you're talking about relative talent. They were recruited there to play Division II basketball. And then all of a sudden you're lining up with Rutgers and Seton Hall and then play like obviously on a day-to-day basis. But by the time, those 4 years that I was there, like by the time I left there, like we had a couple kid from New York, Isaiah Wilkinson, who was unbelievable, Chris Flora, and obviously a bunch of guys that Jarrell Wilson, who's a kid who went to St. Benedict's, was on that initial team. But just being able to teach people what it took to win and what it took to prepare to compete, it was very rewarding.
Oh no, totally. And I think even by the sounds of that, man, just like coaching wise, you can gotten a better education coaching
No, no
as far
doubt.
as being there.
I mean, it's like being it, it's like it was in Newark, so it's like all right, I'm used to it. It's my right there where the old Central is, and it's
Mhm.
where I would have went to high school. But like when you meet somebody from Newark outside of Newark, it's like if I made it there, I could do it anywhere, and that's the same feeling I get from NJIT. I coached there and was made NJIT successful. I could do it there. I could do it anywhere. And that's
Mhm.
kind of been the mindset that I've taken in the coaching profession. So,
And you just felt as though it was just time to move on. I mean, from there to other opportunities.
yeah, it was at that time. I mean, I was went on and went back to Penn, and Penn had been struggling, had been like obviously we talked earlier about when I played at Penn, and Penn was in the 90s, the dominant program in the Ivy Leagues, and they had up into the 2000s, it really, it was either Penn or Princeton. And then
Hmm.
until Tommy Amica came into at Harvard and turned
Harvard,
it,
right.
a little bit, turned it around and made Harvard and James Jones at Yale guys that have made other teams successful in not broken the dynasty, but taking it away from Penn and Princeton. So it was an opportunity to go back there and kind of put Penn back on a map. And I was fortunate enough to go there and have a kid, Darnell Foreman, who was a Jersey kid, Camden kid,
Hmm.
recruit him, and he like was a gritty, hard-working kid with what I'm accustomed to. And obviously, by the time he was a senior, go back to the NCAA tournament, win the Ivy League tournament, and take Penn back to the tournament. So again, everywhere that I've been, I felt like I've got an opportunity to, get handed a slate and mold it and make it successful. And that's on the court is obviously you can see those numbers, but off the court, being obviously taking kids and putting them in possession to be successful in life after basketball.
No, absolutely, man. And obviously from there, it got you to where you're at now here right now, as far
Correct.
as because you were from Penn to Auburn, correct?
Correct. Correct.
How, so being in the South, man, how's life for you in the South, man?
It's good, man. It's a little different. It is like it's not like being home, but it's
Hmm.
different. And I got a son, 13-year-old son, Jeremiah, who has been really good for. So in the
Okay.
sense that like down here, football is king in the South,
Yeah.
but he does play football, but like being in the sports environments for the kids is really good in the sense that like up top is a little you don't see as many kids outside playing. It's more organized. Everything's here is back, throwback in the sense that kids are outside in normal, just interacting with each other and playing sports. And I think it's been great for him in that sense. And it's slower. It's what the South is. It's slower than up top.
That what sports has he gravitated to?
Well, I mean, he started off baseball and football when we were up in Jersey, and now he's all in now, 2 feet in basketball. So he's got a chance. He grew 6 inches in the last year.
Ooh, so how tall is he now? About?
He's 6'5". So I mean, his arms long. He hasn't grown into his body. He's still trying to figure it out.
Okay.
But he got a chance, man. He can really shoot it. But like the other things, like the stuff that I got innately with playing, playing outside, he doesn't have that yet. So that's what you're trying to make up. So we'll see.
No, absolutely, man. So how's it the SEC, man? I know this coaching, and obviously you have Coach Pearl there as well too, man. Like just how the intensity goes up.
It's man, basketball is basketball. Yeah, basketball is basketball.
Gotcha.
Like for me, like it's great. The biggest thing was I always tell people, like when other coaches or guys are aspiring to move up and to be certain, like basketball is basketball. It's the same in the America East or the NEC as it is in the SEC, in the sense that, like, all right, you gotta compete, win an individual matchup, take in on scout report, understand what they try to do, what the other team does well, try to take it away from them at a higher level than they try to take away what you do. But the biggest difference between levels is the resources, man. Like the SEC has unbelievable resources, and that allows you to be able to recruit a different kind of athlete. And those things are, I think, the biggest difference when you start talking about Power 5 basketball as opposed to mid-major or low-major basketball.
No, absolutely. Resources are huge. That's in any profession. That's in any profession.
No doubt.
Yeah. Now, you're down there now. We're talking about. I just get to the obvious when we're talking about Auburn right now, like Mr. Cooper. Special, very special. Yeah. I know.
He's born in Jersey, and he got every bit of Jersey in him, and that's who he is. And like it's like a son. So like I've never been around a kid that's committed to getting better, who absorbs what you're trying to tell him, and can put it into play. Like unbelievable IQ, unbelievable feel. Obviously been around his dad and myself, like from times when we were playing in the summer league when he was as we was learning to walk. And it just seemed like everything that's ever been done, he's formalized it in his head and able to kind of put it into play. He is unique, and he's going to be an unbelievable player at the next level.
Does he stay or go?
I mean, that's the individual. Like for me, like with everything, is like my job is to put them in position to be successful and to be used as a resource to make him successful. I want him to achieve his dreams, and I want him to be a lottery pick. And if he's gonna be a lottery pick, he should go. So but again, every situation is different. I've been fortunate enough to go through it a couple of times now since I've been here. Like obviously last year we had a kid, Isaac Okoro, who a lot of people didn't think was a one and done player. Well, again, married himself to the gym, was committed to working, tireless worker, unbelievable listener, and a competitor. And he went number 5 in the draft last year. My first year was a kid, Chuma Okiki, whose mother is from Scotch Plains, New Jersey. It's a Georgia kid, was another kid that worked. So I've been fortunate to be around, probably being in Auburn and during the best time of his history. Obviously, Charles Barkley is all-time great. But you're talking about team sport, team success. Since I've been here, Auburn's won a regular season championship, a SEC tournament championship, and went to the Final Four. So, and then now we've had back-to-back first-round draft picks in Okiki and Okoro, and depending on what happens here coming up shortly, have another chance. So, I mean, I'm blessed and humbled to be in position to, kind of help these guys achieve their goal and use my knowledge and my experience to be able to guide them the best I can, but also just to be used. And I always pray to God, like for not for God to bless me, but to bless through me, in the sense that allow me to help others and be a blessing to somebody else. And I'm hoping that's what I'm doing.
Oh, no, you definitely are. You definitely are. I know with sports, just in general, man, like what is it giving? What has it given to you that's stuck with you to this day?
The ability, to appreciate, the ability to understand that through perseverance and hard work, anything is attainable, and the importance of sacrifice along with relationships. I think sports do all of that. And I think that, no offense to people who play golf or tennis, but when you're in a team sport and you depend on somebody else and somebody else depends on you, and you're able to, develop a relationship with them, the bond that you develop because of what you go through, and the adversity that's undoubtedly going to rear its ugly head at some point. How you respond to that adversity, obviously, it makes you who you are, and it makes those relationships that much more special.
Nah, absolutely, absolutely. And one, I'm grateful for your time. Well, you have a few more minutes. You got a few more minutes.
Whatever you need, man, I'm here. I'm like I said,
Uh,
I'm here to be used.
nah, I'll do a few. Yeah, I'll put you on the spot. This thing I've been doing lately, just putting people on the spot with some questions here. Have some fun. When driving in New Jersey, Parkway or the Turnpike?
Parkway, Parkway is actually, you from Newark, the Parkway right there, South Orange Avenue. You jump on it, you just, they put that easy pass up, so them tolls, I don't know about them little tolls all the time. Turnpike,
Yeah.
you getting down bottom. So I say Parkway.
Parkway. Chancellor Ave or Central Ave?
Chancellor.
Yeah, early days. I'm gonna give you another Maple Ave or Hansberry.
You really took it there. Obviously, family of me. I would do Maple Ave, Hansberry. That's like the same for me.
Right. And I know this is a connection, obviously, with Keon and all that.
Yeah,
My
sure.
aunt, she's gonna be floored when I didn't even tell her that I was talking to you.
Make sure you give her my love, man.
No, absolutely. So she's gonna be floored when she sees this. Bragman's or Cooper's?
Cooper's.
You need a night out. I'm gonna give you four choices. We going Sensations. We going Zanzibar. We going 88, or we going Peppermint.
Peppermint for
Peppermint.
sure. I wasn't a big dancer. Peppermint on Thursday night. Thursday Thanksgiving night, Peppermint was the best ever. That's unique.
The comedy, every day comedy. Yeah, the comedians.
No doubt.
Legends of Legends done came through there. Yeah,
for sure. For
yeah,
sure.
Totally. You need some kicks and some gear. We're going Universal or Dr. J's.
Dr. J's.
Best game you ever played at any level?
The best game I ever played?
Yes.
Ooh, I ain't never thought of that one. I mean, I would take it back to the whole summer league. Again, okay. My man Moo Dent, shout out to Mustafa Dent, Zoo Crew, and obviously the Brick City NWA, and rest in peace, Tyrese. Just like the hole was different. Like it would definitely be a game down the hole. It wouldn't even be anything that was ever like outside in any league or anything. The hole was what is made up. Those battles with Bedrock and obviously Antonio Black Dutney and those dudes, and just like coming up watching Reggie Lowe and Al Ray Blackman and those dudes play down there, but like it would definitely be the whole.
Yeah, no. And it wasn't just a game, Don. It was an event. It's an event. Game was secondary.
It was the rucker before the rucker, and competitive rucker. Not no. You come out there half stepping if you want.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Best team you ever been on?
Oh, man, I've been fortunate enough to be on. I mean, so blessed to be on a bunch of teams, man. I mean, yeah, that's a rough one. Like obviously, I talked about playing with Rod and Dion and Danny Hurley and those group on the AAU team. But I mean, if I gotta say team, it got to be my Seton Hall prep team, my senior year. Obviously, with Brad Wardell and Walt and those dudes. I mean, I won a CBA championship. I played in the NBA playoffs. Talking about team with Bonds. I'm loyal guy. I'm with my guys, and whoever I roll with is who I roll with. I would start rattling off my new community teams from the new community net, but that probably will be my second best team that I
Okay.
remember. Just guys that you grew up with and have a relationship when the ball, like when the game was over with. It wasn't just about the basketball, and those are the teams that I guess you value. I know I value the most.
No, absolutely, absolutely. More intense. Bob Furr or Bruce Pearl?
Oh, that ain't close. More intense. Coach Pearl, way more intense. Coach Powell wasn't intense. Coach Powell was like he made you understand without having to rah you, and then
Okay.
he knew how to poke you to get you motivated. I remember just learning like what it meant to be on a team. When most of us in high school, we young and we think we a decent player. Well, a lot of us think we got it figured out, and I remember him just motivate me in different ways to be like, all right, if you're that good, you make your teammate better. If you're that
Hmm.
good, we wouldn't allow this to happen. And it became challenges to me outside, like scoring and nothing like that. I could do this, but you've been doing that your whole life. You could do it. But having some accountability in other areas and being able to kind of help other people and make the group better. And I think that those lessons have helped me become successful in my life.
Absolutely, absolutely. Here's one. Someone who should have made it to the league.
Oh man. Man, so many people who have played in North, like playgrounds. Somebody should have made it to the league that didn't. So many people.
You got a couple. That's cool.
You know what? I'll keep it. I'll give my man Tyrese, who passed, Tyrese Carter, who passed recently, one of the best players ever played down in Newark and down the hole.
Okay.
Somebody who should made it to the league. Obviously, it was. I mean, I could always plug my family. I think Brandon Knight was the most competitive, complete player. Like obviously he got hurt when he
Got
had a
hurt.
chance to
Yeah.
play for Houston, but I think he's somebody that could have been in the league for a long time just because he Brand had and always got the grit that you need to be able to be successful. Is the reason why Rutgers is relevant now
Hmm.
because he's there and in the style. But like my family and guys that I know that went to war with, those will be the guys that I'm always going to say should have played in the league. Now, obviously, you got people in Newark always talk about Reggie Lowe and a lot of like and dudes like that who definitely could have played in the league as well. But I'm gonna choose the young guy.
Okay. Okay. Now, you need a five. You need a five. I'm just taking you back a little bit. You need to start five. You got to take the train over to the city, go play at the Rucker. You mentioned the Rucker. Who's your five from Essex County you bringing?
To go play at the Rucker?
Yeah.
Uh, high school or just any list out, man.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
You know, I'm gonna stay on the same. Like
No,
I'm
no,
gonna stay
no.
on my same ride. You know, and then like I grow with who I roll with. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, if I had to go five, shit, I'll say obviously Brev in the backcourt. I may say Brev, Oku,
Okay.
Tariq Goodman, Roderick Rhodes. How many is that?
That's four.
Again, myself, I guess. We and there, I was gonna say Eric Williams. I don't know. I can figure out like somebody to help to rebound and somebody to obviously play some defense. But
Well, you
I
got
think
some
we
D. You
feel
got
like
Brev. You got Brev playing D. You know Tariq ain't playing no D. Yeah, you know he ain't playing no defense. Yeah. You got him
Well,
also.
I mean, you saw I started talking about Newark because I'm always the same. My boy D-Rock because D-Rock is
D-Rock
from Newark,
Dennis.
but he went
Yes.
to Union Catholic. So people, then I got Elijah Allen, who's
Got
my young
Lodge.
bull came up on. Obviously,
Yeah.
Al Watson. I mean, you start talking about who I'm taking with me. I guess I need to get some bigger dudes. Obviously, me and Ryan and E. Williams be the only bigger dudes.
So let me give you one. Then obviously you got that five. So who's your six man?
I already named more than five, so I don't even know.
You
You're
want
gonna
to
give.
take one of? You want to take one of them?
I just take one of them. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. the whole, whole is you're going over to the ruck is a little different. You need some little showmanship. I might get Ab Madison for some bullying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, need Ab, man. Does that squad win?
For sure. What? Man.
Absolutely.
I ain't playing it. If I ain't winning, I ain't playing. We ain't showing up just to show up. Come on now.
Absolutely. Best player you ever seen as far as in Essex County? You don't have, you can expand it past North. It's up to you. But best player you ever seen? Basketball.
Best player I've ever seen. Oh, that's a tough one.
Okay.
You've been exposed to a lot. Like, obviously, I played at the biggest platform where I saw the most players. Obviously, playing at 5-star back in the days, and just you go there from Newark is just in Homesdale is a little different than playing at the top 100. I played at the Nike 100 camp when it was at Princeton, and obviously Glenn Robinson, Jawan Howard, Chris Webber, all those dudes actually played. Jason Kidd, Robert. I mean, it's been a lot of. I don't know who the best player. Like Chris Jordan was one of the best players.
Man, who you telling? Yeah, he went to St. Anthony. He went to St. Anthony's, and then some funky happened over there. And he went over to, was it Dickerson? He was some one. Right, yeah. And I remember
he was a problem. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be around some really great players. But you know what? I'm gonna say the best player. I'm gonna say Sharif Cooper, because I just think I love what he embodies, and he is a throwback in a sense. Like, he got all the fancy shit, but he also know how to play. And nowadays is a lot of kids that's talented or skilled, and he got people doubt all the time, and he got that edge on his that he need to be successful. So that's my young boy, I'm gonna go with him because I'm gonna go this generation as opposed to pissing a bunch of old people off.
Yeah, because they're gonna be in their feelings. Yeah, they don't hear their name. Yeah, y'all boys just be like, oh, whatever, and kind of move on, man. Old heads being their feelings, be tight.
I got razzed about this. Somebody, I guess, I told you the kid Isaac Okoro just got drafted last year. He's a rookie with Phoenix. I mean, with Cleveland now. He was the 5th pick of the draft, and I guess at his draft party somewhere I got interviewed, and I was like, he's the best player in the sense, best player I've ever coached, and people was losing their mind in the sense that and he wasn't somebody that averaged 20 points a game. Like, he was somebody that could guard the point guard to the center. He was somebody that had unbelievable attention, and he had an unbelievable work ethic. It was a great kid, and burnt my phone up 11 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock in the morning every day to be somewhere, and he earned everything he ever got. Didn't get picked for the McDonald's game, and took that as, all right, y'all got me in your game, take this. So now it's 48 people in the McDonald's game. He wasn't one of the top 48, but then he was 5th in the draft the following year. So with those 48 people that they picked above him, wasn't before, it wasn't in front. Only one of them was in front of him in the draft, and that top 5 in the draft is so those are the stories and the things that I kind of hold on to. And so when you start talking about best ever, obviously playing down the whole, you see some great players. Just being in Jersey in general, you see some great players. But dudes around my way in the community that I couldn't wonder why they wasn't in school playing. So it's just what makes you.
I hear you. And as far as the coaching, what recruit got away? If it was the one that got away from you that you thought you had.
Can't keep it relevant. I mean, I talk about it now. It's Jalen Green. So Jalen Green probably going to be a top 5 pick in this draft coming up. He had told me he was coming last year and ended up going to the G League. So and I think he put something out recently, a couple months ago, that he was coming to Auburn. But I thought we would obviously, if we'd had Sharif for the whole year and not had obviously the being able to get eligible at the beginning of the year and had Jalen Green the whole year, I think you're talking about opportunity to have something special. So
absolutely. 2 more and I'll leave you alone.
Do what you do.
When you're out and about, wherever on this planet here, you run past somebody, they call you May May. What does that mean to you?
That means I know him outside of basketball.
Yeah.
And that's a great feeling. You know what I'm saying? And most of the time, the relationships are the most valuable asset you have in this life. You know what I'm saying? Money you can get back, besides in time, you can't. But relationships, you invest time into building. And if somebody knows me by that or knows me of me through that, means that I have another relationship with them. And it may be outside of basketball. And those are the things that obviously you can take, take to your grave, knowing I get in this world. I talked to you a little bit earlier about how do you treat people that can't do anything for you? Most of the people that you knew before you played sports are the people who knew you.
Mhm.
And those are the things I think of when I hear that.
Nah, interesting you say that because being obviously since leaving Jersey, what have you. I mean, people in Connecticut here know me as Karan. That's my birth name, you
Right.
know. So when I hear Ibn,
Yeah.
I was like, somebody know me. You
Yeah,
know, I hear
Ed.
Ib or Ibn, yeah, somebody know me. And my wife, knows me as Karan, but like I said, lately she been calling me Ib. I was like, you gotta earn your stripes to call me Ib. Yeah, as a you gotta earn your stripes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I totally get that. I totally get that. My last one, as far as what would this Ira tell the teenage Ira from North?
What desire to is all worth it.
Hmm.
Like, because like keep your head down and work, man,
Yeah,
and it's all worth it. Because
yeah,
at the end of the day, again, like would you rather have it given to you at the beginning and not understand the sacrifice that come with attaining it, or would you rather have to go through the ups and downs and the pitfalls? Because a lot of things happen in your life. A lot of things happen in your life that may break your spirit, but fix your vision. You know what I'm saying? And like you, all right, I see that. I should have moved this way. And those are the things that like those lessons is one thing to hear them, is another thing to go through them. And
right.
for me, like I'm blessed and fortunate to be in the position I'm in, and I know it's because of the sacrifices of so many of us. And I wear that on my sleeve. I wear that on my chest every day. And obviously, I had a great foundation and a mother who taught me right from wrong, and taught me the value of hard work and allowed me to express myself and put myself out there to put myself in a position to be successful. And so she told me that every day. So it
Hmm.
wouldn't be anything I would do different.
No, absolutely, man. And kind of as we kind of fade out, man, I just wanted to say this though, Ira. I mean, obviously being a basketball or sports junkie just in general from Jersey, man. And I think just the connection we have, whether it's through sports or just know mutual people or whatever the case, man, may be here, whether it's Mac or even my, the weekday days or you being out there, man. Like I truly, truly, like I said, just enjoy not only the camaraderie, but also watching you play and just the man you've become. And you just, even this time right now, just kind of just sums it all up, man. I think, you could easily went left. I'm sure there's many times you probably might have veered that way, whether it was by peer pressure or just the environment itself, but obviously you found the way to just, be locked in, focused, and take those 3 buses up Northfield Avenue or wherever you needed to go. Then from Northfield Avenue, on to, wherever else, is taking you to college. And from there, man, like I said, I'm truly, like I said, just proud of you, man, and just happy, like I said, to know you. And I think even my own little accolades and all that stuff here, man, like you and everybody else from Jersey and Essex County or whatever it be, like inspired me to just kind of just like, you got to do well. You got to do well. And I think I always, pride of myself in regards to just like whenever you do connect with somebody or catch up with somebody that I'm doing good for myself, whatever I define as good,
No doubt.
and I think it's just one of those things here, man. Like I said, whenever I've reached out to you, man, it's always, been a response or, return
Of course,
email or
man.
whatever the case may be here, man. But like I said, I just want to say thank you, man. You being
Oh
officially
man.
you helped me be officially it, man. And I know that Ibn and Ira, that sounds like a corny ass rap group, because I'm looking at the names right now, I'm just kind of laughing to myself. But yeah, I really appreciate, everything
No,
you've
I
done, man,
appreciate
what
you,
you've
yo,
given.
man. I'm so proud of you for this platform and all you do outside of this platform, all but like being authentically you. And
Yeah,
that's all we can be. And I think this is who I am. This I rep Jersey every day. That's what when
yeah, I
I'm
can
in the
tell, man.
South or whatever, people know like that's the walk with that type of bop. Like for me, is like we're a product of our environments and good and bad, and who we are a piece of the people that we entertain with. Like I take New Community, Newton Street, Seton Hall,
Mhm.
um, uh, every Newark wide, Central Jersey, everything I've ever been a part of, like the Grapefruit League, my friends that we connect, whether it's Ponds, Ease Malik, Qua, Frank White, like people that do need everybody that we like, everybody that I interact with on a regular basis. A piece of them is with me, and I feel like I've all, even when I played, like I represent myself and my family first and foremost. But like those, everybody, the pride of being from where we're from and being out in the world, it means something to me, and I'm always going to carry that with me.
Nah, totally, man. And I'm looking forward to that head coaching gig whenever it do come.
You know, in God's time, if you know, it's like
Yeah.
everything I've ever done, man. Put my head down and work. What's for you is for you, and when it's
Totally,
time, it
totally.
will be. So be, but like everything else, be thankful and be fortunate and be happy for other people's success. For when it's your time, it'll come.
That's right, man. Another thing, man, I need one of them shirts.
Easy. Send me that's light. Send me your addresses, email to me. I'll be in the mail next day.
Nah, I appreciate it. But I know you gotta get on. When's your next game? Is
We play tomorrow, Mississippi State tomorrow. Yep. So I mean, we got practice here in about an hour.
Okay.
We get some video done with one of the kids, but it's like regular everyday grind, man.
Nah, go ahead. Hopefully, family continue to be well and safe, man. Wish you all continued success, man, and health and everything, man. And I'm sure small world will connect one way or another here. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Peace and blessings. Thanks, as always, man.
Back at you, Ira.
You.
All right, peace, man.
All right, boy.
Good stuff. Good stuff, man. Newark legend, greater man. You know what I mean? So I appreciate Ira taking time out on that here. So I really ain't got nothing else to say, man. Just hopefully you guys enjoyed, the conversation, the dialogue, and the man he's become here. We just gonna keep moving, keep it going, man. So till then, put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.